Hey ho guys, good morning, good afternoon and good evening depending on where you are around the world. So I wanted to do this video. So for the past month I've been doing this summer wells, figuring things out and finding out, and I've got a few thoughts. Now before I say anything, I'm not professional. I'm not even in the country of where she's gone missing. I'm not professional. I'm not anything, just an autistic person with learning difficulties. I've watched everything on this case. We will be starting a new case file called uh, Mysterious Angels. And in this, if you go over to my YouTube channel called Mysterious Angels, it's the next part of this channel. And it's where people like us get together and put our views forward, put our evidence forward, and the people in the area can gather more evidence, go and see, and I'll explain more in a bigger video. So this video is about somewhere else, right? And what I think, my thoughts, my feelings with the evidence that is given to me and with what I can get off the internet and get off people and listening to people and stuff, right? So my conclusions are two things that I can think of. And the first thing is, what is a 15-year-old boy doing with a 5-year-old child and a married woman? That's not related, number one. Now they're saying, oh, he calls me auntie and stuff. Yeah. Number two, the adult is an alcoholic and a drug addict, and you know that, and yet you're allowing her to drive your child and allowing her to drive a 5-year-old child in that state. Regardless whether she was drunk there or then, she drinks so much that her body, she could actually be overlapsed and be over the limit. She could have actually done too much drugs that night and still be over the limit. It was early in the morning. Number two is the fact that why wouldn't the police arrest her for giving a 15-year-old alcohol? Whether it's alcopops or whatever, it's still illegal. So why didn't the police arrest when they found out that she was giving him alcohol? See, that doesn't make sense, does it? It's against the law to give a child alcohol. So I have two theories in all this. So my first theory is that the young boy sees Summer as like a sister and wants to protect her. And he's probably heard her mum talking, he's heard his mum talking to other people about Candice and the dad, and you know, the poor child's not loved and stuff like that, right? So the dogs were in the yard, so if any stranger would come up to the yard, the dogs would bark. But if the dogs knew someone, as in like a family member, they wouldn't bark, they'd just waggle their tails, wouldn't they? So this is my theories. I've got two theories. The first theory is they said they were going fishing, but there was no fishing nets. There was no fishing rods. The only thing they did was go swimming. So she lied to the boy's mum. She said she was taking them fishing. When the boy's mum asked, where's the other boy? She said, at home cleaning. Why would you take a 5-year-old swimming or take a 5-year-old fishing? And why would you ask for a 15-year-old boy to accompany you? Why don't you just take you and Summer down there? Why did the mother needed a 15-year-old boy to be with her? Do you know what I mean? So then that brings me to either they're having an affair, Candice has a thing about the 15-year-old boy. The 15-year-old boy, obviously, you know what it's like. You're going through hormones. There's this adult's giving you cigarettes, letting you drink, treating you like an adult. So you're going to feel like a man, an adult, and you know what comes with being in an adult relationship. Do you see what I'm saying here? And we all know the hormones and stuff is raging. And she's treating him like an adult, saying, "Look, you're an adult more than a child." You know, Summer being 5, Summer's not going to understand. The other boys are older, so they would go and tell their dad, "Oh, mummy's kissing." Let's call him H, like everyone else is. Mum's kissing H, mum's giving H stuff, this, that, and the other. So the boys would snitch, but the girl, the 5-year-old Summer Wells, was too busy playing. And to be fair, being 5 years old, you wouldn't think that way. You'd think it was normal, you know. Oh, mummy cuddles my brothers like that. Mummy plays with my brothers like that. Do you see what I'm saying? She wouldn't be able to tell the difference between, flirting and parenting. You know what I'm saying? She's 5 years old. So therefore, someone wouldn't see anything wrong with it. So therefore, they can carry on doing whatever they wanted to. And Summer would be the ideal person to be the witness, because she wouldn't see, hear, or think anything was unusual. And being 5 years old, you can manipulate a child into thinking and what they have seen when they really haven't. Like, when some parents get a child to lie about the other parents, saying, "Oh, they hit me, they did this, they did that, I saw their naked body," when they really didn't. But they convinced the child so much that the child believed it, and in the end, that's what I think's happened here, on that side of it. So when he jumped in and she was underwater, first it was a minute, then it was 15 seconds, then it was this, then it was that. With her being in shallow water, she's definitely hit her head, because why else would she be under? She does look the type to be able to stand up in the water. So unless she did render herself unconscious, there is no way she would have stayed under that water that long. She would have fought and splashed around. So the lad jumped in and saved her, according to Candice. The lad's still not said much. The police are keeping it quiet. So here's my problem I've got here, is the fact that Candice, the mum, takes a 15-year-old child and a 5-year-old child. Why? She's under the influence still. Then Summer, her reactions are very slow. If you watch the interviews, they didn't drink that morning that they got interviewed, but if you watch the interviews, the mother and father looked stoned off their heads, and they also looked a bit like they were damaged, like what they call alcohol damage and weed damage, where they sit there and even if they don't smoke or anything, the brain just doesn't click in properly and function fast, right? That's why it's called stone cold sober, for that reason. So we go back to this 15-year-old boy. He gets dropped off at home. He tells his mum that Summer was under the water and he dived in and saved her. But he doesn't. He doesn't tell her until the next night, once Candice phoned him up. So he didn't come home and say, "Mum, guess what? Summer banged her head and she went under the water," because a 15-year-old would do that. Mum, Summer banged her head under the water and she's fell asleep now in the car, but she banged her head and I had to go in and save her. He didn't say that. So that's one thing we've got to watch for. So there's all that to think about. The mum also was disengaged in anything the father was doing. So she wasn't interested in going to church. She's not interested in the church thing. You can tell how she's pushed herself away from it all emotionally. Everyone's saying, "Oh, it could be something to do with the church because of religion and all this." I don't think it has anything to do with the church. Judging by the people in there, Summer was probably more safer. However, I think the only thing about the church is the fact that they allowed Summer and the boys to be abused by these people and didn't put him, although they did have a social worker So Abby worried to find out why the social worker didn't step in, considering you've seen the way Candice looks, that she didn't step in and give them more help in raising the children. The boys were at home cleaning. So also the father said, oh, they were playing, you know what boys are like, they were indoors playing on their computer. But Candy said, oh no, they were at home watching TV. If you listen to the interview with the dad when he's holding the son and rubbing the son, he says that they were playing computer games. She says they were watching TV. It's a total different thing, watching TV and playing computer games. And he says they always play the computer games. That's what they do. They prefer to play computer games than go out. He was adamant about that. Yet the mum said they were watching TV. So what does that say in their state of mind? Maybe she looked at them playing on the TV and thought, oh, it's obviously a cartoon or something they're watching. Because she wasn't with it that day. So my theory has got something to do with, I would get a court order and I would bring the young boy in and talk to him. I would also bring in the children, move the children out of their care for now, Section 47, move them out for now, and then slowly work on the children. And they're going to know where Summer is. I'm telling you now, they're going to know. Because a lot of people don't realise that children listen. And when they think children's asleep upstairs in bed and stuff, they're not. They know more. Trust me, from someone who listened to their parents beat each other up a lot. We knew a lot more than what, and we were only kids. We were only 4 or 5 years old, so we remember. So there's that theory. And then there's my big theory, the one I would stand by with. And that is, find Summer's auntie, you'll find Summer. And why do I say that? Summer's auntie went missing quite a long while before Summer went missing. The people around, apart from Summer's granddad, that's now passed away, the people around at the time are still around now. The grandmother, Summer's auntie's mother, Summer's mother's sister. So both Candices were around. Her dad was around. Now, here's the thing. A couple of months before, Candice phoned the police and said, I'm worried for my kids' safety because her husband came home, saw her with some bloke and lost it. Now, he's a felon and he's got guns, and yet he didn't get put in prison for it, which could have saved the life of Summer. So she then retracted. Obviously, abused women always do. But here's the thing. On abuse, right, the father's sister said that he used to do stuff to her when she was small. She's 5 years younger than him. And he used to touch her and stuff like that and sexually assault her. And Summer happens to be blonde, exactly the same as her dad's sister when her dad's sister was small. So I'm wondering if people are looking at Candice and saying, what the heck? But the only time you would dress your child to look like a boy is to stop someone being attracted to your baby. Stop them abusing your little girl would be to make her look like a boy. So whether it was jealousy, Candice knew that Summer was like spending a lot more time with her dad. Her dad was acting a bit more strange, a bit more closer to Summer than usual, loving her long hair. Summer wanted to be a little girl, princess, wear princess clothes, but Candice knew that might trigger him to touch the baby or not. Because remember, everyone's calling her Summer and that, but she's a baby. She's still a baby. She's 5 years old. She's a baby. Not a child, a baby still. And the only way the mother could protect her was to shave her head. Or it could be the fact that she was sick and tired of brushing it in the morning and she had a hangover and she was on drugs and Summer would want it up and want ponytails and plaits, and she just thought, you know what, I can't be arsed with this, so I cut my hair and shave yours off as well. Because in one of the interviews, she actually grabs the teacher's hair and puts it on her because she wants her hair back. So we know that Summer didn't want this, that it was the parents who made that decision to shave her head. And the father was adamant, oh, no, 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 it's not happening again. She's going to grow her hair out and she's going to grow it. Which makes me believe that he wanted her to have long hair. And Candice is a very jealous person. And like I said, if he was paying more attention to Summer. Another thing could be the fact that what happened was, when Summer came home, she was saying, Mummy, I got a headache, I'm not feeling too good. Went down to play like they said. She went down, she went downstairs. She was calling her, went downstairs, and it wasn't open. But Summer was dead. From the injury or from late being... now, I'm not saying the mum killed her. What I'm saying is the mum probably freaked out when she saw her lying there, not breathing. It was probably the time, because when people are a bit high and that time goes past, and it was more than 5 minutes she was down there for, saw how blue she was, and probably freaked. And here's the reason why I think that happened, was because when people tell the truth, it flows. So when she's saying, yeah, we went over to a grandma to see a grandma, so I could check on my mum's knee. And grandma gave her a sweet and she says, Mummy, can I go play on my swing? I said, yes, go ahead. Where she was standing, she was there on the swing. She said then, a few minutes later, she come out. The dogs were barking, but Summer wasn't there, but the door was open. She went to the boys, where is she? And they went, oh, she went downstairs to play in the playroom in the basement. She went down calling her, went down there, the door was wide open. There's no way, because the picture shows that where you see the door open from Summer, you could see her. And anyone coming up, there was no way someone could sneak up. The dogs were out. If it was a stranger, the dogs would have gone for him. So there's no way. It had to be someone that's known. That's what I'm saying, right? Summers then died because they've got social services on the back, because they're well known for what they've done, because they're drug addicts and alcoholics. They could have the boys taken off them, everything like that. So instead of her phoning 999 and saying my daughter's missing, she turned around and phoned.
I'm reminding you.
Her husband. Yes, that's right. She didn't phone the police. She didn't phone an ambulance. She didn't phone anything. She phoned her husband and said Summer's missing. Now, not being funny with you, but 10 minutes. You wouldn't say a person's missing in 10 minutes. And then phone the husband and say, Summer's missing. I think she's been kidnapped. If you know, the first thing you do is, with the door being open and you're in an open field, I would have been more entitled to say, oh my God, she could have run into she's got no shoes on, she could have run into the woods and cut herself and she's hurt. That would be more like what you would think of, isn't it? So it would be more like, no, hold on a minute. See, if someone was my kid and I went to the boys, where are they? And they went, oh, she's playing downstairs. And I went downstairs. The door was open and Summer was nowhere to be seen. The basement door was open and right opposite's the woods. That's the first thing I would have said is, oh my God, she hurt her head earlier. She's probably dazed. She's gone out on her own, although she's never done this before. She's probably a bit dazed. She's probably hurt herself and she's probably stuck somewhere in the woods. And there's bears and stuff. A bear might get her. and then you phone the dad up and say, please come home and help me look for her. We're all looking for her now. She's gone missing in the woods. But they didn't do that. She phoned her husband up, and then he phoned the police straight away and said someone's missing. But 99.9% of people, think about it. What would you do? If your door was open, back or front, and you had woods at the back of your house or your area, the first thing you would do is get the dogs and go looking for her in the woods, thinking she's gone into the woods. She could have hurt herself. She could have cut her foot to listen to hear if we can hear her crying or anything like that. That would have been the first thing to do, is look. Why would you phone your husband to phone the police? Why would you do that? Why would you say she was kidnapped or missing? The first thing I would have thought of was she's probably gone into the woods and there's bears there. I'm hoping the bear hasn't got her. She might have cut her foot. They've smelt the blood and taken her. We need to get the dogs out there. We need to get cadaver dogs out there. We need to get that. That's what I would have been pushing towards. Not pushing the police towards she's been kidnapped, someone's come up in a red car and taken her, blah, 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 blah. What? You weren't even there, mate. You were at work. And Candice didn't phone the police. She phoned you to phone the police. Because she knew she might slip up. And you're better at dealing with the police than she is. Because you used to lying to them and stuff. But again, I would have come home, if I had a phone call, my kid's missing, my 5-year-old child's missing, and she's barefooted, the first thing I would have done was come home, got my dogs and gone looking for her in the woods. I would have said, you phone the police, and I would have gone looking for her in the woods, and I wouldn't stop. Because there's bears in them woods, right? So I'd be more worried about exposure, being out in there. What if she's fell down somewhere and cut herself? And what if a bear's taken her? What if she's unconscious? You know, she banged her head when she went swimming. She might be unconscious. She might have been choking. Oh, my God. I would have been in such a frantic way, and I would be out in them woods looking. That would be my first priority, would be looking in them woods. Because they've never been kidnapped before there. They've always walked down to the school bus before, fine. So my first thought would not be kidnapped. My first thought would be, shit, she's probably banged her head, she's confused, she's gone out, she must have heard, she loves animals, right? What if she had an animal hurt? You know, crying or something like that, or she thought she did, she had ringing in her ears because she was drowning. Anything can happen. Like, you could have voices that sound like voices or crying when it's not. Especially with a head injury. She could have had concussion. Run down there, got all dazed, run down there. That's what I would have thought. That's the path I would have took. I wouldn't have even thought about someone kidnapping her. The first thing I would have thought was, Jesus Christ, she's gone into them woods and there's bears and she's barefooted, she's going to cut herself. Let's get the dogs, let's get looking for her. And I would have sent everybody in them woods straight away. I would have called out the church, said, please come help us look. Yeah, Candice is phoning the police. I need to get out there. Come and help me look. I've got the dogs. Let's go. And I would have got as much people together as possible and start looking straight away. It wouldn't have been, no doubt. But they said they didn't because they knew she was kidnapped. That's why I know they're involved in her disappearance. Because they know where she is. They know where her body is. Because that's the last thing I would think of, is someone kidnapping. Near woods. A child that's just had a head injury, near woods, got no shoes on. The first thing you think of is, love animals. She's running straight into them woods. Or someone she knows that if they cry like an animal, an injured animal, she would run into the woods to help that injured animal because she loves animals, right? So if you wanted to kidnap her, you would have to be able to go there, be able to know the dogs, and the dogs know you. And the only one that they know like that, that's just as good as the kids and just the same as the kids, is that 15-year-old boy. So either people are saying it's the 15-year-old boy now, which I doubt. I don't even think he knows what's going on, to be fair. I think he's just a rook. And it was all set up to look like he's the one that's done it. And it's probably going to go down that line of questioning watch. Because people are going to say, why would you hang around with a 5-year-old? But some kids actually, some kids that are on their own do adopt other children as their own brothers and sisters if you ain't got none. I know for a fact, because I was brought up without my brothers. So I adopted a load along the way. And yeah, so the way I look at it is this. Them three, Candice's mother and her husband, were there when her sister went missing. Her sister hasn't been found still to this day. So how they got rid of her, whoever got rid of her and took her, and wherever they put her body, no one's been able to find. No one's been able to come across it. No one's found it yet, nothing. So if you wanted to hide another body, you would do exactly the same crime in exactly the same way so you wouldn't get caught. And they're sitting there, because I'm not being funny, but you parents out there, especially you mothers, right? I'm talking to you mothers especially. Reason, not saying fathers aren't attached, but fathers are more practical, whereas mothers are more emotional, right? So you mothers out there, let me ask you a question. You've got kids. Your youngest, your baby, is missing. A week later, would you take your boys, just you and your mother, take your boys to go swimming and enjoy themselves, and you go with them and you wear a bikini and you go swimming? Or would you just fall to pieces and just have this sense of loss and this sense of emptiness and aching, and you just can't function? Because every mother I've seen that is a true blue mother that's not like either murdered their own children or something like that, but is innocent, I've seen how they can't function. And it's the father that has to be strong, and the family has to be strong for that mother, because that mother just can't function, just can't move, can't do nothing. But yeah, Candice is driving around, banners, vigilance, everything. So I reckon she needed that time to compose herself and get herself ready to come out into the public to look. But they're adamant that she's being kidnapped. And I'm adamant telling you, find the auntie, you'll find Summer. If you get away with murder, you get away with killing someone, and you put them in a grave somewhere, and you do it a certain way, and they're still not caught after 6-7 years, you're going to go back and do exactly the same way and put the body in the same place because nobody's found it. And I have no doubt that the 15-year-old boy is the key to all of it, to open all of it. He's the key. Not because he's done anything, he probably hasn't, but he's the key. And the kids are the key, the brothers. Because if police interview the boys, she won't let them get interviewed. And reason being is because the stories won't make sense. And like I said, the first thing I would say is, come on, boys, let's get guns, let's get the dogs, let's go out there because I think your sister's gone into the woods. And then phone the police, say, look, she had an accident this morning swimming and that. She's got a head injury. The door was open. She's got no shoes on. I think she's gone straight into the woods. That's the first thing. I mean, come on. Why aren't the coppers... Why aren't they thinking like that? I've watched people using their opinions, and not one person has said this. Not one person has thought this. Right? Go back down to basic. Instead of listening to Candice and blaming the mum and dad and trying to say, where's this red car? It's nothing to do with this red car. It's a red herring, okay? The red car's not important. What's important is the fact that when they phoned the police, they said, my daughter is kidnapped. They're telling the police that she's definitely been kidnapped. She's definitely dead. right? That's no way. You couldn't even comprehend that. You wouldn't be able to, emotionally, physically, and mentally. You would not comprehend your child being kidnapped, taken by someone, and murdered. You just that's not the way a human thinks. A human would think, oh my God, she's probably hurt. I wonder where she is. Has she gone missing? She's still alive. Oh, I hope, you wouldn't say, nah, 100%, let's get on with it. It's almost like they're reserved to the fact she's dead and there ain't no way anyone's going to find her any other different. And they're so confident, cocksure, that they're not going to find her. Right? So, find the auntie. I would say to the police, find the auntie, you'll find Summer. It's that simple. And then you'll know the truth. Because Summer could have had a headache and the mum could have gave her drugs, alcohol. Look, she's going to give a 15-year-old alcohol. What's stopping her give Summer alcohol? Oh, could I have a swig? Yeah, no problem. Like I said, the first thing I would have thought was, oh my God, my girl's run off into the woods. She's confused. She's had an accident. I would phone the police and say, listen, she had an accident. She looked all right. She didn't look concussed or anything. But now she's walked out with no shoes on and she looks like she's gone into the woods or something. She's missing. Can we have police up here to help us look? We're getting the dogs out now. Call my husband. He's on his way up. We're going to look for the dog. We're going out now. Could you please come up and help? It wouldn't cross your mind that she was kidnapped. It'll cross your more mind that Woods being there, accident. It was, and I know they're not thinking straight because they're on drugs and stuff, and you can tell the way she's like this, which I don't understand a social worker allowing children to live like that, but it's America for you. In this country, that wouldn't happen. Put it this way, if you were in a church or with neighbours wouldn't let you, your children, you alcoholics like that and drug addicts like that, and your children were shaved heads and nah, it wouldn't happen. Anyway, so yeah, that's the first thing. A lot of and mothers wouldn't be able to function. And even look at Jamie Bolger's mum and dad. He went missing. His mum and his dad couldn't function. They couldn't hardly talk. They were in shock. They were gobsmacked. Look at Maddie McCann's parents. The father was the strong one. The mother was just in disbelief. It's not happening. It's not happening. It's not happening. It's not happening. If your kid had an accident in the morning, the first thing you think about is she's concussed and she's walked straight into them woods and a bear could get her. I would have been freaking out because of that and she could have cut her feet. I would not. I don't know about you guys. Comment down below. But the last thing I would have thought of was kidnapping in an area where it's like nobody comes up and visits. It's out the way of everywhere. You know, people have to come around the hill and around the house to even get to somewhere. So, you know, kidnapping wouldn't be nowhere near. It'd be like, it's bloody impossible to kidnap from there. It's bloody impossible because of the dogs. Animals are the key, and the dogs would have barked. The only time they wouldn't bark is if they knew, like, the member that's coming up, either one of the children or someone like that was like with these dogs, and he was treated like, apparently, that's like Summer's brother, right? Like he was the older brother. So the dogs would see that as part of the pack, so they wouldn't bark at him. So he could come in and take her, no problem, and there wouldn't be no barking. But why would they? Unless Candice phoned him and said to him, this is the third one. There you go. See, it's clicking. Candice phoned him and said, listen, you know how she's at her head? We're going to get into serious trouble because I gave you alcohol. She's at her head and that, and she's collapsed and she stopped breathing. So he's come up round the backs because he'll know where the woods are and how to get to the house without going up and around anywhere. Collected some and they've told her where to put him. Again, the 15-year-old could be the key. But I still believe that they really believe she was kidnapped. They really believe she was dead. That is too. You couldn't even comprehend that. That's not what you would think. Look at Keith Bennett's mother. Look how she reacted when Keith went missing. Phone the police. Look, it's not like him. They went out looking for him, hunting for him and everything. And she believed, no, I still believe he's alive. He's got to be alive. You've got to keep looking. You've got to keep looking. Then when they found he was dead, but they can't find his body, she didn't give up. Because that's what a mother does. The hope, your brain can't function to think you're without your child. It doesn't make sense. Candice is sitting there taking a boy swimming in public places that she's never been before. She's standing and, you know who they remind me of? Who is that English bloke with the moustache? Comment down below that burnt his kids. Do you remember, just to get attention, he burnt his kids and his wife was sitting there crying and stuff but kept quiet and he was saying everything just to get attention. What was his name? Comment down below. But that's what it reminds me of. That type of situation. If you look at the similarities, when he turned around and said to the police, oh yeah, we saw some lads running off and they had cans in their hands and petty bombs and stuff, which are petrol bombs, which are bottles with petrol in and stuff. Yeah, see, they were just too adamant. Let's see how it goes, shall we? So anyway, I'm going to talk to you a bit about Mystery Angels. So, Mystery Angels is going to be my new YouTube, which is going to be where all of us around the world get together and we take cold cases. We take mysteries, like spirit mysteries, mysteries of people say that they're haunted or the place is haunted or something like that. And then we all work together, day and night, together, the whole world, to come to a solution. Okay, guys, so I'll catch you in a while. Crocodiles, all keep safe. And don't forget, wear your masks. See you soon.